Hello, everyone, and welcome to Blockbuster Battle. I am so excited to have Alan join me, where we are going to see movie studios, movie franchises go head to head and see which one is better. I am very excited. We have our first one up here. You guys can check it out. We did Universal versus Warner Brothers. We both went into that thinking that Warner Brothers was going to walk away easily, but that was a tough battle there.
Yeah. If you look at more of one to one across their span of their existence, because right now Universal, you don't think anything of them. They're barely turning things out, but
Yeah.
you know they've had
But
their moments.
definitely one of those examples of like quality over quantity. They don't have a
Yes.
lot, but they have a Jurassic World and a Fast and Furious. When you have those two franchises, you really don't need to
Yeah, you're
do too
probably all
much
right.
else.
It's true.
Yeah. So today's episode, we are doing something that so many fans do in the comments of everything. We are doing Marvel versus DC. What helps here is we are both fans of both. We
Yeah.
both have issues with both.
Yes.
So I am kind of opening up. I'm not just doing the DCEU versus the MCU. I'm just doing Marvel versus DC. There's sadly no Howard the Duck here because I cannot find an equivalent to that on the DC side. Maybe Jonah Hex. I don't know. Um, is there anything as bad as Howard the Duck?
No.
Well, we have one going up. So so each one of these categories are going to be in their own little subsection. We have the beloved sequels. We have Oscar contenders. We have the bad ones. We have the very
Yes.
serious ones. And then we have the team in battle movies. So we're going to start off with the beloved sequels. Now, the DC one I have is not your favorite sequel of these. Sorry to say. But our first one is going to be Batman Returns versus Spider-Man 2. These are
Spider-Man 2.
really. I
Yeah.
forget you're not a Batman Returns fan.
I like Batman Returns. I think I've gotten saddled with the not a Batman Returns fan thing because everybody around me likes it much more than I do.
I was a
Uh,
goth kid for a long time.
yeah, it's like it's a good Tim Burton movie. It's one of my
Yes.
favorite Tim Burton movies. It's not one of my favorite Batman movies. I mean, it ranks in the
Yeah.
upper tier, but it's not one of my favorites.
Yes, it's a very good film, but I do look at when I look at big sequels from DC and Marvel, these are
Mm.
two of the biggest. I saved The
Oh
Dark Knight
yeah,
for another competition later. That's probably the biggest sequel that DC has.
yeah.
But yeah, these are two of the biggest ones. Now, why did you quickly go to Spider-Man 2? Is it because
Spider-Man
it
2's
is
good.
just that it's just that good? Yeah.
Yeah,
Um
Spider-Man 2 remains one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. Like, it's nearly untouchable. It has its flaws. There
yeah.
are definitely goofy, stupid things in there that I don't love,
You mean those
but
close-ups of those like the claws, those very Sam Raimi close-ups of
no,
those?
I love those because they're
They're
very
goofy,
Sam
but
Raimi. They're very Evil Dead.
yes.
Like,
Which actually,
I
looking
love
at both
that.
these directors, I do like it that it's Sam Raimi versus Tim Burton, two
Yeah,
very artists. When I think of people who have a distinct style and brand, these are two of those artists. So kind of glad
yeah,
to see that they've both experimented with superhero movies in their own route. Tim Burton was going to do more when he had his planned Superman movie and all that,
yeah,
which I have to get into that one day. That might be
yeah.
a
One
whatever
day.
happened to.
There is a whole documentary on that.
That is true. Actually, I don't need
The
to.
yeah, that thing is a monster. Um,
Now, I will fight Batman Returns a little bit more. The only reason I think it hurts this is it hurt that whole franchise. Like this movie really hurt Batman for a while and threw it into the Joel Schumacher films, which I like both my Joel Schumacher movies, but Batman Forever is better than Batman and Robin, but I like
Batman
them both.
Forever is better than any of the other three in that series.
Ooh, even better than the Nicholson one?
Yeah.
Hmm. I might have to look at that. Might have to dive into that eventually. But yes,
It
that's
certainly if they had left the stuff that they put on the cutting room floor, like for some reason, if you look at the cut, that's the only movie that you can really look at and be like, look at the cut things and be like, Oh, you just wanted to make a worse movie. Weird.
Well, I feel like some of those Zack Snyder ones that they've purposely made choices to make
Yeah,
those movies less coherent.
that's
So
true.
yes, I guess I will lean with you to Spider-Man 2 on this side. I am a big Batman Returns fan. That was one of my first favorite films I remember growing up. It
Yeah,
definitely hurt the franchise a little bit. It did have the too dark compliment. They couldn't sell toys at Burger King for it because it was too edgy, and so many parents complained about this film. Now looking
yeah,
back, watching Penguin rip off someone's nose, I could definitely see it. And
yeah.
I will say
As
Spider-Man 2 has some scares to it as well. Spider-Man 2 is way more mature than that first one. And it
hmm
didn't have as much issues though, but it did have, I remember some people being like, whoa, that was a little bit more brutal than I thought.
yeah, yeah. It's just so good. Molina's
Yeah.
such a good Doc Ock. Like
Yeah.
his
I'm trying
Doc
to
Ock makes Doc Ock a compelling villain.
I was trying to
Whereas
think if I
Harvey,
liked Molina more than I liked DeVito and Michelle Pfeiffer. That was where it really boiled down to me. And I think that just proves those are great villains. Those are good when you have good casting for somebody, and
yes.
that makes or breaks so many things.
Yeah, my problem with DeVito is that like DeVito was like the perfect casting for the Penguin, and then they just put him in a bunch of makeup. Like you didn't have to do that. You
Yeah,
didn't have to make him a weird, bizarre monster man.
he's
You could have
terrible.
just made him the Penguin.
I didn't like Danny DeVito for years because of that movie. I refused to watch It's Always Sunny because I was triggered as a child, and now I'm like, oh, I love him. He's a fantastic human being.
Yeah,
All
he's
right, so
wonderful.
let's jump to the Oscar contenders. There's
Okay.
two films that have really battled for the Oscars in their own routes, in their own ways. We have
Okay.
Joker versus Logan. You don't love either one of these movies, so this would be harder
Ooh.
for you.
No, I like Logan more because I didn't love Logan like everybody else did, but I liked Logan. I didn't like the Joker at all.
Oh, and for reference, Logan won for
Joker.
Best Adapted Screenplay. Joker was up for Picture and Actor, and won for Actor and Score. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I
these are crazy to think that both of them are the mature films as well in those
which is
series.
it's a route I don't love. Um Especially for things that are more mainstream.
Hmm.
Um we are like, oh my god. If, this is a whole digression that I could go down, but like I don't see the value in taking properties that originally have appeal for broader audiences and making mature versions of them. Yeah, like a Deadpool, absolutely make that rated R. Blade, sure, yeah, all day. Things like that. Um, the Punisher, that has to be a rated R movie. But Joker and Wolverine, no.
All that for a
Like
couple extra gore in Logan, because I don't think the F bombs, there's a lot of them, but I don't think they really did the R just to have Berserker mode at the end, it felt like.
yeah, and I didn't need that. I don't know. It's just bizarre. But I did like Logan. I thought it was a good movie. I think I just came to it like 2 weeks into its run, and
Hmm.
everybody had already been like, "Logan's one of the best superhero movies ever made," and I went in maybe with a little too much expectation, and
It's
I
one of the
just came
better
away just
X-Men
feeling like,
movies. Um,
it certainly is. It's good.
and I like those bad X-Men. I can deal with The Last Stand just because it's a bad movie and I like them, but
Yeah, I
this is, I
think I've
think,
liked all of the X-Men movies except X-Men Origins Wolverine.
yeah, that's truly, I think, the worst one.
Yeah.
I kind of go back and forth on
I
all of
even
them.
like New Mutants, which I watched recently in the past
I
couple
like
days.
that movie too. It just, if it wasn't the final Fox X-Men movie, I wouldn't be
Yeah,
so mean on
it's
it, but
it's
it's
this
like,
it's this bizarre thing where like there's literally six people in that movie and Adam Beach and some flashbacks. Like, it's very bizarre, but I liked it.
now does anything kind of weigh on Joker's end for you? Do you think the performance from Joaquin is better than any of the stuff that's in Logan, or do you think they
No,
kind of about even out?
I don't think Joaquin's performance is good at all. I
Yeah, I
don't
think
think he's a
Patrick
good
Stewart is
actor.
better than
Yeah,
Patrick Stewart
for
in
sure.
Logan is better than.
Like I think giving him an Oscar for that is kind of just atrocious because it's just the same mealy mouth bullshit Joaquin Phoenix has been doing since I don't
Inherent
know, since
Vice.
huh?
Inherent
Yeah, like
Vice, really.
maybe something a little before that, but it's just same mumbly mouth like uh, I don't know, like the Paul Thomas Anderson bullshit. Like, I don't think it's a good performance because I think it's just the same fucking shit he's been doing for the past 10, 15 years. And it's not compelling. And I think that the narrative's not compelling. I think that the narrative is bozo stuff that understands psychology from watching other movies about psychology. Like, like people like, oh, it's an in-depth look at what would make somebody like this. No, it's not. It's
Yeah.
literally just borrowing shit from other movies that they watched. It's not good. I don't like it.
Yeah, where on the other hand, I know you don't feel the same, but I do think Logan is a very compelling story. I feel for these
Oh
characters.
yeah.
I feel for Logan more in Logan than I do the Joker character.
Oh, for sure.
I guess it also helps that we spent years with Hugh Jackman as Logan, and that kind
Hmm.
of, you kind of get invested with these people. But yeah, okay, cool. I
Yeah.
can't believe Marvel has 2 points here, but makes
Yeah.
sense.
We'll
All right,
we'll
so
see how it
now
goes.
we're on the bad ones.
Okay.
I have two selections here for this. We can see how we feel about both. The first one, yeah, you might want to stretch for this. Green Lantern versus Fantastic Four stick, the Josh Trank one.
Oh, ooh, Green Lantern. Green Lantern's watchable. Like, it's not that good, but it's like kind of fun. It's kind of fun with a bunch of poor choices made. Fan Four Stick is one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Yeah, I debated the other Fantastic Four films on here, but those were kind of
I like both of those more than I
yeah.
would have liked Green Lantern. They have their flaws. They're really stupid, but I like them
I
kind of.
also
They're
like
entertaining.
looking at Fantastic Four and looking at Green Lantern, which came out a couple years apart from each other, but very different. Green Lantern doesn't suffer from the everything being too serious syndrome that
Yes.
everything happened at this time.
Yeah,
I will
which is what it
say,
has going for it. It
which I
is
can't
like a
believe it escaped
lighthearted.
that. Like,
Yeah, yeah, I can't either because it's like sandwiched right between. Well, it came out between the Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises because it's 2011, right? So
mhm,
yeah, it's right up in the middle of all that, and somehow it ended up being a lighthearted. It's a very like 90s, early 2000s kind of movie, which is a lot of its downfall. It's like it's made 10 years too late.
yes.
Um, but I don't think it's awful. I just don't think it's very good. It's at least entertaining. It keeps you somewhat engaged.
What I suffered with is Hal Jordan wasn't my Green Lantern growing up. I'm from the John Stewart era, so I didn't really understand the Hal character as much as growing up watching Justice League. I was like, oh, John Stewart in my head. I was just like, legit, when I first saw it, I was like, why is Green Lantern white? I just was so
Yeah. Well,
confused.
Hal Jordan was never really mine either. I'm in the same boat as you there, but at the same time, I'd read enough
Mhm.
comics with Hal Jordan to just be like, this isn't Hal Jordan either.
Yeah.
So
It was Ryan Reynolds, which,
yeah, it was
right.
Ryan Reynolds, which is, I like Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is a good actor. He has, if you can give that man a dramatic role and he can do decent things with it. But this is Van Wilder in a CG suit. It's not
Yeah.
fucking good. But it is
And a
better than
waste of
Fat
early
Four
Taika
Stick.
Waititi as well.
It's
Um,
true. Very
but
true.
yeah, no, Fantastic Four. I defended Josh Trank because I really do like Chronicle. I am one of those rare people who thought that was a fun, edgy, kind of different film. Fantastic Four cast two people I absolutely cannot stand in Miles Teller and Kate Mara. So,
Fair.
oh, and Jamie Bell. Wow, Michael B. Jordan was really doing the Lord's work in that movie.
That's my thing. It's like, anytime I see somebody still complaining about Michael B. Jordan getting cast as a Black Johnny Storm, I'm like, fuck you. He was the only person with any charisma in that
Yeah,
movie. What are you talking about? Like, yes, his stuff was bad, but everybody's stuff was bad. He
yeah.
sold it as best he could.
Yeah, the
Like,
race swap had nothing to do with any of that movie.
no,
Like, it didn't
that's like
really.
it's like kind of a questionable choice. It's like,
Yeah.
is this stunt casting? But what are you doing? Because that's the only thing anybody talked about from that movie. So
Hmm.
maybe it was kind of stunt casting. But still, even if it was just absolute stunt casting, the least of its sins.
Yeah.
because because again, the only compelling thing about that movie is is Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, all
He
right. So
sucks.
DC has their first win on the board. Let's go to another bad movie versus bad movie. Catwoman versus Elektra. We have a girl fight here. I will I'm going to have to quickly say Catwoman is one of my favorite bad movies of all time. It is edited like 45 people are on cocaine. It has nothing to do with source material. It has nothing to do with Catwoman, but something about the movie. I remember there's a gay station in the States called Logo where they usually play like RuPaul's Drag Race and stuff like that. They would put Catwoman for like a whole weekend on. And I remember watching it multiple times in a weekend and being like, oh, this is camp. Okay, I appreciate you just that much. Where Elektra suffers from 2000s edgy Evanescent soundtrack,
Hmm.
really bad editing. None of the fights look good. I'm not saying Catwoman has good fight scenes or anything, but I just think Catwoman looks better than Elektra in this weird way. I Elektra looks so bland.
I've got a confession to make. I didn't actually watch Catwoman.
Oh, okay.
Um, that was when we did Four Color Film. For some reason or other, I wasn't able to get the time to watch it that week. So instead of, I was still on that episode, and that episode is the other two hosts explaining it to me,
Mm.
and we stopped the podcast because they were like, "No, you have to see the basketball scene."
I was gonna
So the
say if there's
basketball
one
scene is the
scene you have to watch.
only scene that I've seen from that, and I can still say with 100% confidence that Catwoman is far better than Elektra. Because Elektra, okay, Halle Berry, not an amazing actress. She has
She's
her
fine.
ups and downs.
Yeah,
I feel like she's done more bad than good.
she
Jennifer
has an Oscar
Garner,
at least.
It's
Yeah.
weird. But Jennifer Garner, never done good. Never done good. She is the female Joel Kinnaman. She is a damp rag on any production she's on. No charisma. Nothing compelling about that woman. Literally, her best work is like the Capital One commercials or whatever the hell she's in now.
She
Like,
is in those commercials, and she's a cute face.
whatever she's hawking
Um,
is literally the best work she's ever done
I
because
mean,
she's
staying married to Ben Affleck that long was also the Lord's work.
I guess.
That was also a commitment. Yeah, I honestly, I kind of in the opposite. I don't really remember Elektra that much.
It's fucking bad.
Yeah,
Terrence Stamp is in that movie and he can't redeem it.
yeah,
Terrence
because I,
fucking Stamp plays
I
Stick
remember
in that
thinking
movie.
Daredevil was bad, but like a fun bad, where I liked
Yeah, Daredevil
laughing at the
has
movie.
like ups and downs. It's kind of there's things to like, there are things to laugh at. It's
Yeah.
it's not good either, but it has its moments. Is uh, Electra's probably Electra's with Fant Four Stick as one of the worst fucking superhero movies ever made. It's
Wow,
abysmal.
it's sad that DC has won the bad category. this is this,
Yeah.
this is where they decided to tie things back up
Yeah,
here.
unless you want to give the points to who made the worst of them.
No, no, here's the one that we have to defend even bad movies here. That's what I like about the show, where we have
Yeah.
to find these bad ones and be like, okay, is there a minuscule hope of it here? Now let's go to something completely different. These are
Okay.
two of their most well received movies from DC and Marvel. We have The Dark Knight versus Captain America Winter Soldier. The
Okay.
serious ones. These are very serious films.
Mm-hmm.
I think Marvel gets a lot of complaint, or a lot of like, well, they're nicer and lighter. Go back on Captain America Winter Soldier. It is a political drama where there's maybe
Yeah.
one joke, one or two
Yeah.
jokes, really.
It's not.
Like,
Yeah. There's
not really a
not a
fun
lot
movie.
of
Robert
levity.
Redford eating that movie up. Like,
Oh yeah, he's so good. He's
putting
so
him in a
good.
scene with Scarlett Johansson, so not fair to Scarlett Johansson.
No, not at all. But
He outclasses so many people in that movie. But
yeah.
at the same time, looking at The Dark Knight, I mean, the cast is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't particularly love Christian Bale's Batman. I never have, and I never will. But I
Up and
think this
down with
is
it.
this
I,
is
li-
my
I like his
favorite of his
Bruce Wayne more than
Bruce.
I like his.
When
Yeah, I like his Bruce
he
Wayne more
pulls
than I
that
like his
table
Batman.
up and says, "Oh no, no, I own this." That's
Yeah.
when Bruce tells me he owns things. That's my favorite thing. One of my favorite Ben Affleck lines in BVS when he's like, "Oh, the Daily Planet. Do I own that? No, no, that's the other
Yeah.
guy." Cocky Bruce Wayne is my favorite thing because we don't really get it enough. That's the fake gimmick he puts on as he can go cry and brood and his
Yeah.
thing, and I like that. And I think these are both very good films. And I don't love The Dark Knight; it's not one of my favorite films. But I look at the villains of this. Oh my goodness, is Joker a better villain than Bucky and Robert Redford? Like,
Ugh, this one's hard, man. Like, if you'd have asked me this 5 years ago, I would have probably still gone straight for the Dark Knight. But I've revisited the Dark Knight in recent years, and I still love it. Like, I'm still 100% on board with that movie. I know it's not one of your favorites, but I still really like the Dark Knight. But I really like Winter Soldier. So this might be a toss up for me, and we might have to just like defer to you
oh,
because
I
like
also have
they're
a
both like,
tiebreaker, so that helps because I kind of am in the middle with both. And other than Thor Ragnarok, Winter Soldier is my favorite of the MCU films.
yeah,
It
Winter
has
Soldier's definitely my favorite MCU film. Like
it
it's for me,
has
it's Winter Soldier, first Iron Man, Black Panther, and then probably Ragnarok.
I don't particularly love when Marvel slash Disney talks about politics, but the way they handle it in Winter Soldier,
Yeah, it actually
it's so
works.
different. Like, and
Yeah,
I love this Cap who is pro America, but not pro America in the way you think. He is
yeah,
pro American people, not the government, not the military, and I think that's such a
yeah. He has his
it's
values, and his
yes.
values aren't dictated by people in power, and that's what really works here, and that's the point of this
Hmm.
one. And I think that's lost in a lot of Marvel stuff. Um, like that even gets muddy in Civil War, even
Hmm.
for him.
Oh my God, I
Um,
hate Civil War.
I don't
That's
hate
one of
Civil War. I like Civil War. It has some moments I don't particularly care for. Spider-Man shouldn't be in that movie, but whatever.
Oh,
Um,
me and my parents were talking about it. I'm not a big Tony Stark fan. My mom likes him. I'm like the moment Tony Stark hires a child to fight in a war, he loses some sympathy points. Like
yes, entirely.
he's he hires a child to hurt people. But yeah, no, I think the politics are harder in this film. I think I really love Bucky and Cap. I mean, I'm one of those people who do kind of ship them as a lover couple, but at the same time, I love their best friend vibe. I love
Yeah,
that Cap fights for his best friend,
yeah,
even when he's not supposed to. There's times where I was like, bro, Bucky's a crazy person. Toss him to the wind. Like,
yeah.
but I understood and I love that. I don't think the Dark Knight has as much heart and soul as people
Well, it
remember.
certainly doesn't.
I mean, it's a Nolan problem overall. Is
Yeah,
soul is
it's
something I
Nolan
lose.
doesn't. Nolan like really just doesn't understand human beings. I don't think. He understands drama, and he
Yes.
understands like he understands stakes, and he understands he's very I love Christopher Nolan. We have
But
this
yeah, but
conversation
when
all the
I
time, but
think of
the
the
human element,
relationship aspects, when I think
yeah,
of Rachel and Bruce, or you,
dry,
oh my god,
dry. It's so dry.
even some of the stuff with Two Face, I love what Aaron Eckhart does,
Oh,
but Two
Aaron
Face's
Eckert.
character is based on the heart and soul of that film, and I
Yes.
maybe because he's not in any of the other ones, so when he turns bad, I'm not like, oh my god, I lost a good man today. I don't have that feeling with Two Face, and I should. Like, I should feel like, oh shit, we kind of that sucks. Like when he's like a bad guy, I was like,
Yeah.
well, he's only in this movie to be a bad guy. I
Yeah,
really wish he was in
exactly. That
Batman
that
Begins as a
if he had been
small
in
role.
yeah, if he had been in Begins, if he had been the DA in that would have been a little more um compelling. But yeah, that he's just there just to be Two-Face. So it's um but no, I don't know, man. Like this one's a hard one for me because I love the Dark Knight so much. I'll Okay. If I'm really like being honest with myself, separating myself away from the fact that like Dark Knight came out like summer of the summer that I was 18, like right after I graduated
Yeah,
high school, it was that moment for me. Um Winter Soldier's a much tighter narrative. Like
yeah.
it is like the Dark Knight kind of falls apart in the third act. I think it has a great ending. I think it ties. I think the last few minutes of that movie are like
Oh
near
yeah,
untouchable.
with the stuff with the boat and
Yeah,
all
the fairy
that.
stuff,
Yeah,
it just comes to a
yeah.
screeching halt, like which is like a constant problem with Nolan's Batman movies.
Well, I also feel like the Two-Face stuff at the end, I was like, oh yeah, the movie's over. Joker's call. Oh yeah, we still have to do one more scene. Like it
I
just,
liked that.
I
I
just
thought
felt like it
that
was
all
just kind
worked
of
for
like a,
me.
oh, okay, yeah, forgot we have to wrap this story up real quick.
Yeah,
Because yeah,
that
when I
all
look at,
worked for me though. That gives a good closure there. But yeah, the fairies and all of that. It's just gets a little caught up in itself, and you know, I don't know. It comes to a screeching halt there. Um, and Winter Soldier does not have that problem. I think Winter
I think
Soldier,
it gets better by the end. Like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, okay,
it
yeah.
does.
Okay, because my only simple question was going to be if I had two DVDs in front of me, one Dark Knight, one Winter Soldier. If I said, "Hey, which one do you want to watch tonight?" You would probably go for, mm,
I'd probably go for Winter Soldier just because
yeah,
I have honestly seen The Dark Knight 100 times.
yeah.
Like, I've honestly seen that movie so much that I could just probably close my eyes and let it play in my head. As where Winter Soldier would be a little bit more fresh for me.
Yeah.
I've seen that probably, less than 10 times.
All right. Now Marvel takes the lead. Can they win with this final battle? We have the team movies. I picked
Okay.
two very weird team movies here. Sorry. We have Zack Snyder's Justice League versus the first Avengers film. I was going to put
Mm.
Infinity War, but that is not fair because
Yeah,
Infinity
that's
War is
not fair at all.
um
Um,
but yeah, the first Avengers movie, these, and to me these are both the first team up movies, with Snyder's Justice League and Avengers being
yeah.
the first in their timelines of team up. Which one? Very
Here's the thing.
different films.
Very, very different films. Here's the
Oh,
thing. Okay. I think there is more vision and more ideas and more interesting things in, you know, half of Zack Snyder's Justice League than could ever be packed into that Joss Whedon is even capable of doing. I think Zack Snyder's a better filmmaker. I'm not a huge fan of his. I don't really love his films. I did like his cut of Justice League. That Avengers movie, I do not like. I don't like that Avengers movie very much at all. But you know what? It ain't 4 fucking hours.
ooh, okay.
so so that's the rub. Like that's the rub. Like, is Zack Snyder's Justice League a better movie than Joss Whedon's Avengers? Yes. Yes, and if you want to go ahead and give it that point, I say give it that point. But you know what? If you're asking me if I've gone to my head, I have to watch one of them tonight all the way through. I'm watching Joss Whedon's Avengers because it's fine and it's like 2 hours.
Yeah. I That's just a movie at that time I very much hated it. One of the first movies I just kind of dipped out, walked on. It was at film school when we all watched it and stuff. Not a
Yeah.
fan. I just don't think it is held up as good. I think also
No,
how a brand
it's
should be. I think the movies got better and better, and I just think
yeah.
you look back on this one, it feels like a kids movie at times, where
Oh,
even Age of Ultron matures itself up a little bit. It has its
it's
own set of issues as well, but
yeah, it's the worst looking of the Marvel movies. Like
w- one of the
it's
ugliest movies I
it's
have.
very ugly. Like how I don't know how you could have like that kind of color palette that you're working with and still make it bland.
It's the
And
beauty
it's
of when
just
people talk about Snyder and colors, and I'm like, but yes, you can have all the colors in the world with Whedon's thing, but they don't work. None of them pop. It's such a weird thing of like
yeah.
everyone's suits are very colorful, but why doesn't it jump out on the screen? Where like I
Yeah,
look
it
at Thor
doesn't. It's such
Ragnarok.
a flat
Thor
yeah.
Ragnarok is one of the most colorful films I've. Black Panther. I don't love the cinematography of Black Panther, but it has a more striking color palette, and it like
Yeah.
pops
Like
on screen.
even though all of those phase one movies, which I think some of them are not terribly amazingly made, but
That's why I
they
kind of like
all
about
yeah, they all
before,
look
before the machine got there.
yeah, they all look better. Even that Hulk movie, which I think is a pretty bad movie, certainly looks better
Yeah,
than
that one I would just like to increase the brightness on that one, like a dot maybe, and then I would like it a
yeah.
little bit more.
Yeah.
Where I look at Justice League and I'm like, there's colors, there's like a vibe to it, and not the way that the Joss Whedon's version of Justice League had colors. That whole red sky looks so
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Did you see they just released a 4K trailer for that one? And I'm like,
Yeah.
why? Why be petty? Why be
Like
petty,
we
Warner
don't.
Brothers?
Yeah, we don't need this.
God, they really hate him. Go to Netflix, Snyder. They like you there. But yeah, so this one to me is hard because they have almost the same problems in different ways. Like one's too long, but I don't think Avengers really does anything with its 2 hours. Like I really think it like twiddles its thumb for a lot of it. Like and that's kind of my thing. I think of the middle section where they're all kind of fighting each other, and I'm like, but you guys don't. First off, the Avengers movies rarely have team ups in their movies. What I like about Justice League is they were a team and they never really bickered with each other. They worked together pretty quickly. The Avengers
Yeah,
movies spend most of their movies bickering with each other.
I think that's
Maybe Age
pretty
of Ultron's
true
the only
to.
time they're like a no, because Ultron and because Tony and Cap start their fights in Ultron, really.
Yeah. Um, but that's fairly true to the Avengers, though.
Okay.
If you did that with the Justice League, that'd be like, this isn't what the Justice League is. You know, like Justice League shouldn't be bickering. They're the Justice League.
Yeah.
But the Avengers have always bickered.
Okay. Okay.
That's always been a thing with them.
That's something
So
I never really understood it because I kind of felt the same way about X-Men, where I was like, I rarely got the X-Men as a team in movies. I remember, God, it was that really bad one with Dark Phoenix, and they're having that train fight. I was like, this is the most everyone has used their powers together in an X-Men movie. Holy hell. And that's something I really love, and I don't really think Avengers has it, and I think that whole ending. Yeah, this one was a harder one than I thought. This whole battle was just Marvel and DC. I think that's the one I want to walk away with. Both have had such strong films, such bad films as well, but I don't think either brand has ever won. I think Marvel has won the box office battle with money. Um,
in recent years, but
yes,
like, I mean, you gotta look. Those first four Batmans were wildly successful. The
and
first couple
Nolan's, those were
Supermans
billion
were
dollar
wildly
movies.
successful. Nolan's movies were incredibly successful,
Yeah,
especially the Dark Knight and
Rises.
Rises.
Rises did
Um,
so. I can't. That blew my
Rises
mind.
did better than it deserved to do.
Yeah,
Uh,
but
but
you know,
no, I mean,
I like thinking about them that both companies have had, they're both strong companies. I'm
mhm.
really happy to see Marvel and DC just keep on. DC's had rough years with critical reception, but they're still putting out very, like Joker. No one else is putting out something like Joker. I don't love
No,
it, but they definitely tried something and they're trying. And sometimes that's all that matters. I feel like so many other people don't put that effort in. So many other studios and their things of Marvel also tries. I think for years they were trying to do the same, copy and paste kind of movies, and my critique about Marvel's changed because they aren't doing that anymore. Like,
no, they're not. They're trying different things. So far in the more recent things that they're trying have don't do anything for me. But uh, we'll see. Um, no, do you have a tiebreaker? Aren't we tied?
we are tied. I don't have a tiebreaker on me, but let's see if I can cook one up. All right, I got you. We're
Okay.
gonna do the original Superman
Mm-hmm.
versus Iron Man 1. These are classics in their own weird ways.
Ooh, this one's a tough one for me. This is a good call too.
Yeah, I wanted to poke you in where you live. These are things you like.
I might have to go with if you had done Superman 2 versus that first Iron Man, that would have been even harder. I like that first Superman movie a lot. That means I watched that when I was younger a ton. Um, but I think the first Iron Man movie is a better movie than that. It's not more well, actually, maybe it is more important, or at least as important, because I mean, it
Mm.
kicks off the MCU.
You know,
Um,
I think Iron Man 2 has the bigger weight because it has the MCU in it with with Black Widow coming in and Nick Fury playing a bigger role in that as well.
Sure,
But
but this sets up a world where you can believe
yes,
that all this happened. So, and had this not been successful, you wouldn't
yeah.
have gotten any of that. or who knows, because they had already done the Hulk and things, and they were already rolling on a couple things. But that was kind of a last ditch effort for
Yeah.
Marvel, that Marvel studio, because they were not owned by Disney then.
Hmm.
They were just trying to pull something together, and
They were
it
trying.
worked. They
Where
they were trying,
Superman,
and it worked.
what was the legacy around Superman? Was this a big deal? Did it have any of the
Oh yeah.
backstory of what it did? Did it need to be what DC needed at the time? Because I think before this was truly just the Batman 66 movie. Um,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as far as movies go, and you had the old serials, and of course you
mhm.
had the George Reeves Superman show. Um,
But
I
this
read
really
a
did start Superman in such a DC in
yeah,
such a big way.
yeah. It had this long. It had a really long production history too. So it was going through a lot. This Warner Brothers did not own DC Comics at this point.
Yeah, it
They
came
were just
around a little bit after too, because
shortly after. But yeah, no, this was important. This is important in that it's like it's the trifecta of things that really started, like, one, it started superhero movies as we know it.
yeah,
Two, like it led into like 80s sci-fi in the same way, because it you have the trifecta of Star Wars, Close Encounters, and Superman 1. Those were all in production at the
wow,
same time. Those all came out around about the same time. I think Superman and Close Encounters were both 78, as where Star Wars was 77. Um, so yeah, it's not only important to superhero movies, it's important to 80s sci-fi in general, because
I
that's what
never
started that
thought
wave.
about that.
Yeah. Sometimes people attribute Superman coming out to Star Wars, but no, it was in production same time. Um, so yeah,
God, and they
it
had
started
like
that wave.
Marlon Brando in that movie too. To think of what they were doing at that time, like
Yeah, yeah,
wow,
because Richard Donner, just like he people give credit to Nolan for being like, oh yeah, you put the really big names, the really seasoned actors around, like they're the supporting guys. That's what Donner did. Nobody
Um,
like, who the hell was Christopher Reeve? Nobody knew him. He was irrelevant. But you have Gene Hackman as the villain. You have Marlon Brando as Jor-El. Like, that's that's big casting, and he was doing that. He shot that in Superman 2 at the same time. So yeah, like that's why you had Terrence Stamp in
oh,
like the beginning of Superman 1 just for a minute.
he's
You
so
know,
good in that
Terrence
movie. Oh my
Terrence Stamp's
god.
good in everything, man.
It's so funny that we know Donner from different things. I know him as the Omen director. Like
Yeah,
it's
that's
so
true.
crazy.
That's
Like
true.
he's had a very
He's had
good
a
career.
wild career, man.
Not
Big fan
many
of Lady
people.
Hawk.
I mean, I like Scrooged, and I'm not a big fan of Murray. So
Oh
like,
yeah.
God, he's a
Yeah,
good director.
yeah. Have you ever
That's
seen Lady Hawk?
no, I have not.
We're gonna do something on Lady Hawk. I'm making you watch Lady Hawk. I fucking
Lady
love it.
Hawk.
Rutger Hauer, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Matthew Broderick.
I have never. And a medieval dark fantasy is what Wikipedia called it. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
with like this weird techno soundtrack.
Yes, awesome. All right, Alan. Before we get into our Lady Hawk podcast, yeah, I'm gonna have to say, this. Oh, I don't want to tie the tiebreaker, but both of these do have a big legacy to it. But that kind of just goes over this over thing. Marvel and DC are hard to compare because they both have
Mhm.
done the same things for each other. Like,
Yeah.
without Superman, we wouldn't have what Iron Man ended up doing, but without Iron Man, we wouldn't have the modern era. It's crazy to see that these studios and these companies have had just a big grip on our lives for such a long time. I know
Yeah.
we think of this era as the superhero era, and yes, it is. Everyone has done their superhero movie, from indie films to big blockbusters, but
Mhm.
this has been here since 70s. Like, it's good to see.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me for this. This was a fun
Ah,
one to
thanks for
do.
having
This
me.
is a
Yeah, this
good
was a
battle.
lot
All
of
right,
fun.
guys. What do you think is the best of these bunches? Let me know what your battles are down below. Who picks? Who's better, Catwoman or Elektra? That's a tough one for
The
you
real
guys.
question.
What's better, Green Lantern or Fantastic Four? If you had to watch one. All right, guys, comment down below. Subscribe to Flickering Myth and give us a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Thank you so much for joining me, Alan.
Thanks for
And
having
make
me.
sure you guys comment down below.